Good evening, Eswatini, and welcome to the 8 p.m. news broadcast brought to you by Eswatini TV. My name is Nondobego Nzapkelago. Let's take a look at tonight's headlines. His Majesty King Mswati III says due to the COVID-19 global pandemic, there will be no Umhlanga ceremony for the year 2020. The Prime Minister Ambrose Dlamini represented His Majesty King Mswati III during the 40th Ordinary Summit of Sadc Heads of State and Government. The Deputy Prime Minister, Senator Themba Masuku, has implored members of the DPM's Portfolio Committee in Parliament to take it upon themselves to create national conversations on the causes of the ever-increasing teenage pregnancies. And now for the news. His Majesty King Mswati III says due to the COVID-19 global pandemic, there will be no Umhlanga ceremony for the year 2020. This was revealed by the Imbali leader when making an announcement at Eswatini royal residence.
Lalela Mbali, ngikutshela tindzaba letibonge enkosini. Uthoka ndaba. Umhlanga bewubhekeke ukuthi uqale mhla tinge-25 kuyo Ingci. Uphethe mhla tinge-31 kuyo Ingci. Ngenxa yesimo lesikhona emhlabeni wonke naseveni, ngeke usaba khona umkhosi wemhlanga eludzidzini kanye naseshiselweni. Nine bekunene uthoka ndaba kutawubukakala tindlela tekuthi umhlanga ufika njani esigodlweni. Usho njalo ke Msoso omnyama kulaba lithulo odunganda basembelebele nodunganda basemampondweni. Sisho njalo ke sigudhu sasemnyama siyesabeka. Usho njalo londlo olukhulu uyadukuzela. Ayethe wena phakathi wena ungangezintaba.
Nine bekunene njengoba induna yethu intombi seyithulile emagama labuye engwenyameni, sesiyacela ukuthi intombi dilalele dihlale ngentombi vele, dibuke umthetho waka health ukuthi uhamba wenda njani, difake ama mask dingayaluki kakhulu, digeze tandla bekunene. Indzaba yeliholide ke bekunene nitakwatiswa masinyane ukuthi litawuhamba kanjani. Sesibonga emagama laphuma enkosini nje ukuthi icabangele sive sayo ukuthi siphephe kule sifo lesibi kangaka. Bayethe wena phakathi.
The Prime Minister, Ambrose Dlamini, represented His Majesty King Mswati III during the 40th Ordinary Summit of Sadc Heads of State and Government. The meeting was held virtually.
The summit was organized under the theme SADC 40 Years Building Peace and Security and Promoting Development and Resilience in the Face of Global Challenges. Summit expressed deepest condolences to the Mkapa family and the government and people of the United Republic of Tanzania following the passing on of His Excellency Benjamin William Mkapa, the third President of the United Republic of Tanzania, and paid tribute to His Excellency Benjamin William Mkapa as one of the region's leaders who contributed greatly to the fight for liberation, development, peace, security, and stability in the region. Summit elected His Excellency Philip Jacinto Nyusi, President of the Republic of Mozambique, as Chairperson of SADC, and His Excellency President Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, President of the Republic of Malawi, as incoming Chairperson of SADC. Summit also elected His Excellency Dr. Mokwesi E.K. Masisi, President of the Republic of Botswana, as Chairperson of the Organ and Politics, Defense and Security Corporation, and His Excellency Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, as incoming Chairperson of the Organ. Summit received a report on SADC integration from the ongoing Chairperson of SADC, His Excellency President Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli. Summit congratulated the people and the governments of the republics of Mozambique, Botswana, Mauritius, Namibia and Malawi for conducting successful elections and congratulated His Excellency Philip Jansinja Nyusi, His Excellency Makwesi Eric Masisi, His Excellency Haik Kaingob, and His Excellency Lazarus Chikwera for winning the elections. Summit also congratulated Right Honorable Mokwetsi Majoro for his appointment as the new Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Lesotho. Summit approved the SADC Vision 2050, which is based on a firm foundation of peace, security, and democratic governance, and premised on three interrelated pillars, namely industrial development and market integration, infrastructure development in support of regional integration, and social and human capital development. Summit noted that a face-to-face summit will take place in Maputo, Republic of Mozambique in March 2021 if the COVID-19 pandemic situation is contained. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Linton Gule in Babane.
The Deputy Prime Minister, Senator Themba Masuku, has implored members of the DPM's Portfolio Committee in Parliament to take it upon themselves to create the national conversations on the causes of the ever-increasing teenage pregnancies in the kingdom and how this problem can be rectified. Masuku was speaking when officially opening a workshop for the training of members of Parliament on children's issues.
In the workshop held at the Happy Valley Hotel, members of Parliament in the Deputy Prime Minister's Portfolio Committee will receive much-needed training and insights into the challenges that children in Eswatini face and the possible sustainable solutions, including a strong legal framework and a child-friendly justice system in the country. When officially opening the workshop, Deputy Prime Minister Themba Masuku cited the high rate in which teenage girls get pregnant in Eswatini as one of the kingdom's biggest child-related problems by far.
I think we need a conversation there, because we seem to be looking at that from a narrow perspective instead of looking at the bigger picture. Why is it happening? Who is causing it? Who is being affected? What is the picture that we are painting now for the future? That conversation is already late, because some of the problems we are having with civil registration emanate from that.
Manzini Region Member of Parliament Busisiwe Mavimbela acknowledged that legislators have a big part to play for the kingdom to uphold children's rights.
Kungumsebenzi wethu as eMaswati kwekuthi bantwana we give them the right footing in life. But unfortunately, la bantwana they expect the best from us as their parents. And in some instances, we turn around and abuse them.
Different non-governmental organizations whose scope of work covers child-related matters will have in-depth conversations with members of Parliament on the issues affecting children in the workshop that will last for 2 days. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengwe Ndlovu with Mbonga Dube, it's Ezulwini.
We will now take a look at the COVID-19 update from the Ministry of Health. 3 more deaths have been recorded over the past 24 hours. This brings the total number of fatalities in the kingdom due to COVID-19 to 73. According to a report from the Ministry of Health, the fatalities comprise of a 77-year-old female from the Hoho region, a 72-year-old male, and a 46-year-old female, both from the Manzini region. The ministry further revealed that out of 415 results that were received, 55 people tested positive for coronavirus. The total number of COVID-19 cases to date is 3,894. There are thus 1,395 active cases, 2,371 recoveries, 73 fatalities, and 55 people that have been registered for care, which brings the total number to 3,894. Looking at the cumulative cases by region, Manzini region has 1,763 cases, Hoho region has 1,554 cases, Shiselweni region has 307 cases, and Lubombo region has 270 cases of coronavirus. The Ministry of Health continues to urge the nation to take the necessary precautions to avoid the spread of COVID-19. We will now continue with the news. The Minister for Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Moses Vilagati, says to promote domestic and international tourism in the country, the ministry will introduce enhanced packages to boost the country's tourism industry. The minister said this when explaining how the 466 million emalangeni allocated in the post-COVID-19 economic recovery strategy will be used.
Last week, the Prime Minister presented the country's post-COVID-19 recovery strategy, where the Ministry of Tourism was allocated 466 million emalangeni to boost the tourism industry. The Minister, Moses Vilagati, says more of the allocation will go into promoting domestic tourism.
Lenye nje indzaba lesicabanga kulesifuna ukuthi ibe kule strategy sithi ayisenjendwe i-hiking trail letaw hamba ikhona lekuthiwa i-Shepherd's Breast la ezulwini ngoba labanye sebakhona khuphuka kodwa la labadzala sibuka ukuthi letindlela nathi ngakheka kahle tiyethu ufika ledulu leyo ingaba attract abantu abanyenti nemahamba.
The minister has given the nation an assurance that all tourism destinations will follow laid down guidelines to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The ministry's report states that the tourism sector contributed 7% to the country's economy as the country had over 1 million international tourists a year. The report further states that the sector also created 26% job opportunities for eMaswati. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Nelson Langamandla in Bavane.
Clerk to Parliament Mvuna Dlamini says there's an uncontrollable Parliament officer who makes his work difficult. He says the officer's behavior has resulted in Parliament overspending in fuel and on external travel. Dlamini said this when appearing before the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament.
On Monday, the Public Account Committee started its work where it questioned government ministries if they have implemented the committee's previous year recommendation and the auditor report. Parliament was one of the institutions that appeared before the committee. Clerk to Parliament Mvuna Dlamini blames the over-expenditure on fuel and external trips on an officer who is doing willy-nilly in Parliament.
Uma kusuka ikhona nje lethandza kwe New York presiding officer. Ngiyakhuluma ngalenye ilanga. Tshandza ke New York. First class. The money that is spent on that. Wangamhambisa uyabhuba.
PAC Chairperson Philip Telezi promises to deal with the issue of the uncontrollable officer.
Bonke lo tholakala ukuthi kufanele bavele la. Sitawubapita bethela Nkosi. Kusethelele sembrashawo kwanyalo. Uselenze ubona usukuthandekane kulele kufanele befike la kithi. Nakunengwe ungawubambisa thina nje kuyikhomba kodwa ke sesiyibonile nemehlo engqondo ukuthi iphi lengwe. But nje sitawubuka lo ukuthi kungakanani lokuwarranta ukuthi bani avele bani angavele.
Clerk to Parliament says there is so many political interference in his office which result in him not able to execute his duties proper. He also warns of a certain political clique which wants to take over Parliament operations. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Muslim Konta, Parliament.
Motor vehicles used by the Prime Minister's office are no longer in good condition as they have exceeded their lifespan. According to the Principal Secretary, Victor Ngumalo, the maintenance of these vehicles is now costly and has resulted in the office over expenditure in Central Transport Administration charges. These sentiments were also shared by CTA General Transport Manager Washington Khumalo. He said this when appearing before the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament.
When Private and Cabinet Office's Principal Secretary Victor Ngumalo appeared before the Public Account Committee, one of the issues he answered was his officer's over-expenditure on CTA charges. Ngumalo says for now, the offices have only 9 vehicles which are in good condition.
Good moto lebuya ngala kwa 2014. So you can imagine I would say running the fleet is inzala. The veil is becoming more expensive.
CTA General Transport Manager Washington Khumalo says most vehicles used by private and cabinet offices have passed their lifespan and they were unroadworthy. Khumalo says 9 of the roadworthy vehicles were bought in 2014. 4 of them were bought in 2009, while the other one was bought in 2004.
If SETI were above lifespan yato, because it's a running cost, it's very expensive. So le fleet le khona nje even lebe siyithenga 2014 the whole government fleet nayo sikhuluma ukuthi lo mnyaka lona ingene ku 6 years iphethwe ka 7 years so that ka replace so bese igcina tiba very expensive ngala ka maintenance sicabanga ukuthi sitamile ukukhuluma ne finance ngale nzamba ukuthi kulukhona ibudgetele imoto lesayinzala because first and foremost, consumption is very high. Coming to maintenance, the drivetrain yonke ifuna kulungiswa every now and again.
PAC Chairperson Philip Telezi says it was disappointing that government ministries continue to overspend. He applauded government for closing CTA trading account. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Muslim Konta, Parliament.
The chairperson of the local Kumbis Association, Mandla Dlamini, says they have withdrawn the decision to impose the 100% capacity rule in the transport industry that was meant to be implemented on Monday, the 17th of August 2020. The decision was withdrawn after a meeting with officials where consensus was reached that capacity in the transport industry will continue to be 80% full.
The local Transport Association met on Sunday where they had a meeting on the issue of capacity of passengers in local transportation. A decision to effect a 100% capacity rule starting on Monday was taken by the association, stating that they are financially stressed due to banks threatening to seize their vehicles due to missed installments.
Njengoba sesikhulumile sabonisana inhlangano emakhumbi nemaphoyisa nekhansela.
The chairperson Mandla Dlamini says the association attended a meeting again on Monday with the Royal Eswatini Police Service and the COVID-19 Transport and Logistics Task Team to thoroughly discuss this matter and take an informed decision. He says the consensus of the meeting was to go back to the 80%. Therefore, he apologizes to members of the transport industry for this confusion. However, he has given his assurance that they will resolve it as soon as possible. The chairperson of the COVID-19 Transport and Logistics Task Team, Sihlangu Hlabati, says there are regulations that need to be followed before making any decision. He says he appreciates transport owners for being patient with them and also working regardless the challenges they are facing, and he says he promises to solve this matter as soon as possible. Reporting, I'm Mlungelile Makakula with Mangaliso Nzenisa in Babane.
Local business people who import different goods from countries like China are still finding it difficult to buy stock from other countries under the circumstances of the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, despite many countries having eased lockdown regulations. Some of those worst affected include those who sell wiring and electrical appliances, among other goods.
While many countries have now eased lockdown regulations to promote trade and the import and export of goods amid the global coronavirus crisis, yet in Eswatini, many shops that sell imported goods like wiring, lighting, and other electrical wear, amongst an assortment of goods mainly produced in China, are now running out of stock, while others face challenges with the shipment of imported products to the country. Manzini businessman Victor Mavundla, who is in the retail of electric wiring and lighting goods, he says shipment of goods from overseas countries to Eswatini is another big challenge, since due to the rules of social distancing, many seaports operate on skeleton staff, hence it now takes longer than usual to bring goods to Eswatini.
Nalokunye lesiyesithi siku outsourcer from South Africa. Nanako vele it's made in China, so akusatholakali danyalo.
Businessman Mxolisi Mabuza, who buys different goods from China to sell in Eswatini, says it is unfortunate that travel remains restricted because for now it remains difficult to purchase much needed items even from South Africa. Eswatini Revenue Authority Manager Customer Services Ricardo Kruger says from April, the level of imports in Eswatini has declined drastically.
Just giving an example of the month of April on its own, when comparing with April last year, we imported almost half of what we imported in the same month last year. So those are the months that were hardest hit. But what we then observed is that when we got to the months of June and July, the impact or the difference has not been that significant.
The Kingdom's post-COVID-19 economic recovery strategy shows that low import rates have also negatively affected tax collection in Eswatini. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Mbongwa Dube in Manzini.
Youth organizations in the country say they offer educational training for young people who want to establish business, and they also capacitate them on how to generate a good business idea. This follows a report on the COVID-19 post-economic strategy that says young people lack the skill to come up with business ideas that will participate in the economy.
According to the post-COVID-19 economic recovery strategy, consultations with the Ministry of Sport, Youth and Culture, Youth Enterprise Development Fund and Eswatini National Youth Council revealed that Eswatini's youth lack business ideas in order to participate in the economy. Therefore, we interviewed the Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund CEO and Eswatini National Youth Council on what measures have they taken to ensure provisions for the youth and their businesses to be part of the value supply chains.
We conduct business workshops. Our starting point was Lubombo and Shiselweni region, where after we have identified the greatest gap, where a significant number of them were not making it in our processes.
We have revived the Tinkundla Youth Association structures, which was once there, but due to lack of resources and a far-fetched visionary, they died a natural death. So what we're doing, we're saying, after we have revived these structures, we'll then train these young people on entrepreneurship and also on cooperative savings and credit model. We will then also just inject a bit of seed capital, which will enhance these young people to start up income generating activities to sustain themselves, employ other young people and create employment as well.
They are hopeful that government's plan post-COVID-19 will find a way to help young people come up with sustainable business ideas which will participate in the economy. Reporting, I'm Lungulile Makakula with Mbongwa Dube in Babane.
Let's take a look at our sports news. Local golfer Mandla Dlamini says he has decided to postpone moving on to professional ranks to next year. Dlamini says this comes after being away from the game for too long. He was speaking with the Eswatini TV sports team in Eswatini.
Mandla Dlamini had prepared to turn professional this year after a very good season he had in 2019. But the coronavirus outbreak that forced all sporting courts to be suspended in many different parts of the world also forced Mandla Dlamini to be away from the game for more than 4 months. Dlamini, who is based in South Africa, says he's excited to be playing golf again, but he has since decided to postpone turning professional to next year.
I haven't played in a while. I've been just trying to take a break and focus on other things. Realizing that there's bigger things in life than just being a golfer. So I haven't played much, but it's okay, you know. Mentally, I think I'm in a good place to be playing golf again. So I'm good to go. So sadly, no. A lot of things have changed since January this year. So I am planning on extending my amateur play until probably next year March, and then deciding then what to do. But hopefully, if my game's in the right place, I will turn pro. Definitely, I will do that.
Dlamini says he will still be playing as an amateur, where he hopes to continue raising his ranks and be well prepared when the time to turn pro finally comes. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizwe Msibi, Sulwini.
Let's take a quick recap of the headlines. His Majesty King Eswatini III says due to the COVID-19 global pandemic, there will be no Umhlanga ceremony for the year 2020. The Prime Minister Ambrose Dlamini represented His Majesty King Eswatini III during the 40th Ordinary Summit of Sadc Heads of State and Government. The Deputy Prime Minister, Senator Themba Masuku, has implored members of the DPM's Portfolio Committee in Parliament to take it upon themselves to create national conversations on the causes of the ever-increasing teenage pregnancies. Eswatini, that is all the news we had for you tonight. Up next is the weather forecast. Good night and God bless.